Hey, what's up everyone? In this guide, I'm going to be covering aspects and gems in Diablo 4. If you are like me and you've never played a Diablo game before, this is your first Diablo game, you're going to be having a lot of questions when you start seeing aspects and gems. I did, and a lot of people answered the questions for me, so thank you for that. I think I've got enough information to share with you today to answer some of the questions that I had. So if this video does help you, please be sure to hit like and share, subscribe for more content as well. And before we get into it, we also have a great community. It's linked down at the top of the video's description for once you're done here. But Diablo 4 is very busy in there right now. We've got clans on the go, a lot of people playing the game. If you need someone to play with, if you're experienced and want to help others or just join our clan, be sure to come and check us out before you leave the video today. So we're going to start in my stash. Here I've got plenty of gems here so we can have a look over them. I've also got some legendary items that have aspects on them. We're going to be covering the gems first. Now if you played RPG games before, then you'll know that with most gear items you can add mods and things like that, and that's exactly what gems are. You'll see my build to the right here, my character. We've got some pieces there that have got gems slotted into the pieces. Not all pieces can have gems slotted in, but some can have two, some can have solo gems slotted in. That's basically what gems are. They are just mods. So as you're going through early in the game, you're going to be finding a lot of crude gems. You can see in my stash here, I've got crude diamond, we've got crude emerald, I've got crude ruby, but these can be upgraded. And what I highly recommend that you do when you're getting gems is, even if you're not using them, is throw them into your stash, because as you accumulate more of these and you get them in stacks of 3 or more, you're able to upgrade them. So from crude ruby, I'm able to make chipped ruby. To make 1 chipped ruby, I need 3 crude ruby, and it works the same with all of the different gems, and it can even go up further than that. I've actually got a ruby equipped here on the piece to the right on my gorget there. That's just a ruby, and that requires 3 chipped ruby to create a ruby. I'm not sure if it goes higher than that. I've not advanced much further where it does go higher than that, but the point I'm trying to make is all the gems can be worthwhile. Make sure that you're not selling them or getting rid of them, because you can just keep stacking them up and keep on improving them to create better mods for your builds, as that's essentially what they are. So now let's talk about upgrading these gems and how to do it. In any main town, I think there's like 5 main towns that you're gonna unlock as you go through your playthrough, 1 in each area. You're gonna have a jeweler. And here where we are in Kayavsad, if that's how you pronounce it, we've got Krasia, who is a jeweler, and we're just gonna go and visit her and we're gonna interact. Now on the left side here under craft gems, this is where you can do all of your upgrades. You've got all the different sort of gems that you can find. You see ruby there, sapphire, diamond, skull. It'll let you know if you can upgrade them, and the best thing about this is a top tip: you don't need to have the gems on you. You can store them in your stash, and you can do all your upgrades with them in your stash, which is brilliant. So it saves a lot of going back into. I've got no upgrades I can currently do, but you can see how it works. If we click on ruby, you'll see that I've got no chipped ruby and no ruby available to do the upgrade. That's because you need 3, as I mentioned, but you can see the material costs there just to the center of the page. If I want to make a ruby, I'd need 3 chipped ruby. I'm on 2 out of 3. And if I wanted to make chipped ruby, I'd need 3 crude ruby, which I'm on 2 out of 3. So this is where you want to keep stacking up on your gems that you find, because as you keep stacking up, I'll get more crude ruby, which I can make into chipped ruby and eventually make into ruby. And you want to get as much of that higher end gem as possible, so later in the game when you're putting builds together, you've got the best gems, best gem selection imaginable to upgrade your builds and just make them that little bit better. You can kind of see the difference here as well. Like if we have a look at the chipped ruby piece, the weapon damage, or the overpowered damage rather, is 15%. But if I upgrade that to a ruby, it goes up to 18%. The maximum life goes from 2.5% to 3%. The fire resistance 14.3% to 16.9%. So it's well worth making sure you get them upgraded to the best variant. And as I said, this can be done all from this menu. You don't need to keep going back to your stash. Just store all of your gems in your stash. You can manage it all from here. So once you've got the best gems that you've got and you want to put them on your build, you can see I've got my build here and all slots are full. How do you go about changing them once they're on? Well, you do it from this menu again. You got to come to the person, the jeweler, and when you're there's another menu up here that is unsocket. You're able to unsocket gems from items you've already placed them on. You just click this unsocketing tool here, and you can just go and unsocket anything that you want. So we can take that off there, take those two off there, take that off there. We just take them all off, and then you'll see that all my items then, if I go back into my character menu, they've got no gems equipped. So as you go in, you can remove gems, and then you're able to place new gems in place of them if you get better gems throughout your playthrough. Not only that, there's some other options at the jeweler as well. You've got the unsocket, and after that, you've got the add socket. I wouldn't really use this that much. Like, I haven't used it myself personally, but on items that you get that don't have sockets, if you really like the item, you want to add some gems onto that, you can come and grab that item. You can place it in the item to receive socket position here, and that's going to receive one socket, and it costs you this resource here, which is a scattered prism, which is a rare crafted material. I don't even have that material. It's a mysterious prism most often found in very, very large bodies such as world bosses. So if you do world bosses, you'll probably get some of this material, and you'll be able to socket some of your items this way. I imagine you can also put a secondary socket on that for even more cost. This will then enable you to add even more gems to your build. And that is gems in a nutshell. That's pretty much all you need to know about them. You're going to get gems from all sorts of areas in the game. Drop off enemies. You can find them in chests. You'll get them as rewards. Just make sure you're upgrading them all to the highest possible sort of gem that you can get, and that you're equipping them. Here's all the different gems I currently have on my build, and you can see what they're doing for it. The emeralds are giving me 9% critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. I make enemies vulnerable with my build, so that's really good. I get 70 thorns, 16.9% poison resistance for each gem I wear of that. My diamond gives me ultimate skill damage, barrier generation, resistance to all elements, which is really good. We've got basic skill damage, damage reduction while controlled and paired, and lightning resistance on the topaz. Ruby, we've already been over. The amethyst there, we get damage over time, damage taken over time reduction, and shadow resistance. With a sapphire, there's critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies, damage reduction while fortified, and cold resistance. As I've already said, just make sure as you're going through the game, you're stacking up these gems, you're making the best gems that you can. As you enter towards the end of the game and end game, you're going to need those gems to really fine tune your build and give you some good buffs. I now want to move on to aspects, and in my stash we've got some legendary items. We've got some on my character as well, and they have aspects on them. You can't put an aspect on any item less than legendary in the rarity. You can upgrade a lower than legendary item with an aspect though, and we'll speak about that when we get to the upgrading part of this guide. But for now, let's just have a look at aspects. So on this amulet here, you can see in the orange writing there with the orange star, this aspect gives me this sort of like talent. While unstoppable, and for 4 seconds after, you gain 15% increased movement speed and can move freely through enemies. So that's one aspect there. Then we've got imprinted. When casting an imbuement skill, you trigger an imbued explosion around yourself, applying the imbuement effect and dealing 356 damage of the same type. That's a rogue only aspect. There's another aspect here where I gain 0.25% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 25%. There's another aspect here where distant enemies have an 8% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds when they hit you, and so on and so on. There's so many different aspects, and these really improve your build. So whereas gems do like slight improvement, well, very good improvements, these improve your build in different ways, and you're gonna want to match these aspects with whatever sort of build you're making to make yourself incredibly strong. Like as you get to end game, every single piece on you is gonna be of a high end, so like a legendary or even higher than that if the gear goes of another rarity, and you'll have aspects on every single piece, and each aspect is going to be working towards your game style and your build. So now I want to talk about how you unlock aspects. If we bring up the map, there's a way you can unlock aspects and you'll permanently have them available, and that's in the form of dungeons. I've already completed many dungeons, and some dungeons are going to give you an aspect as a reward. If I hover over a dungeon that I haven't done, like this one over here, on my first completion, I'm going to get this Storm Claws aspect, where critical strikes with Shred deal 20% of the damage dealt as lightning damage. That's for a druid only. If we go over another dungeon, there's another aspect, and so on. So you want to do dungeons to unlock aspects, and you can find all of these under your collections menu. If you come here, you've got a Codex of Power, and these are all the aspects that I have unlocked. Now, these are permanently unlocked. They are class specific. So if I was to look at just for my rogue, so to say, I think I've only got 2 aspects currently that I can put on my rogue. There's some necromancer aspects, sorcerer aspects there, different aspects, some barbarian ones, so different aspects for different classes, and you'll unlock them via one character, which is a great thing. You don't need to go and do it again on other characters if you make them. And as I said, these are permanent, but if you want to attach an aspect that is permanent from the codex, it does cost you more in resources and more rare resources to do so, but it is an option. And another thing about this menu, if you find an aspect that you want and you want to go and do the dungeon to get it, let's just say I want this aspect of might, where basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 2 seconds, I can pin this on the map. So I then know where to go on my map to go and get that aspect. You can see that it's pinned. It's giving me GPS all the way to this dungeon over here, where I unlock that aspect. So if there's anything in the Codex of Power that you really want and you want to unlock permanently, you can pin it on the map and you can go and get it. I'm now going to show you how you can attach these permanent aspects from the Codex to your pieces. And again, just like the jeweler, it's going to be in one of the main towns. So there'll be about 5 towns you can find one of these in, and it's the oculus that you need to find. It's this symbol here, which is like a triangle with 3 circles and a little diamond on top. So find this symbol, and you're then able to use the oculus to upgrade your gear with an aspect. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to just throw on any piece. You can do like a legendary piece. So for example, I've got this legendary Scorpion of Surprise, legendary crossbow here. I can add that into the item menu there. I can then use the Codex of Power and select one of these aspects that I've got for my rogue to go on it. I've only actually got one there that will fit this. And then that will add this to that weapon. Now, it doesn't duplicate with the other aspect that is there. This will replace the aspect that is there. So just be wary of that. If you've got something you already want on it, then you might want to keep it. But if it's something that you don't want on it, you can change it to something else. However, as I've already mentioned, it does cost quite a bit to do this in resources with the Codex of Power. I'd need to use 24 of my Veiled Crystals, but then I also need to use 4 Baleful Fragments there, which are rare crafted material salvaged from and used to improve legendary weapons. So I've got to dismantle basically legendary weapons to have a chance of getting this material. You can see I've got none there. So if I wanted to use my Codex of Power right now to upgrade any of my legendary items, I wouldn't be able to do so. And I just want to show you this as well, because it's not just legendary items that you can do. So for example, if I wanted to do this sword instead, which is a rare item, it's not a legendary one, I can place that item in there. And the same again, the Codex of Power, I can go to one of my aspects from there and I can use that to upgrade that that rare item. It will go into a legendary item when I upgrade it, and legendary items do have more stats on them. So that little eyeball there is just to let you know that it's kind of like potluck what stat you're going to get as the additional stat. And again, it's quite expensive to do. It's going to cost me 6 of the Veiled Crystals to do that, and 1 of the Baleful Fragments, which I don't have, but I can place them on rare items to make them upgrade into legendary items and put an aspect on them. And that's basically how it works with the Codex of Power aspects. There's another option though, which you may have noticed, and it says aspect from inventory. This is a much cheaper way of doing it, and I'm now going to explain how this works. From my character menu, you can see we've got the equipment tab, consumables, quest, and aspects. Under the aspects tab, I've got one already saved, the Blade Dancer's offensive aspect, which is really good for the build that I use. But I've got loads of slots here for more aspects. And what you can do with this, if we head back to my stash, and if I take out the items that I've got saved in there with aspects on, I'm not using these items. They're well below the power level that I am. I have no use for them other than to sell or dismantle or take the aspects off. And take the aspects off is what we're going to do. So back to the oculist here, we'll go back into his menu, and here what you can do, instead of imprinting an aspect, the next menu along, the next tab along, is extract an aspect. And to do that, you just got to throw in there a legendary item. So we've got this legendary item here. I'm going to throw it there, and then I'm going to extract from it when unstoppable, and for 4 seconds after, I gain 15% increased movement speed and can move freely through enemies. And to do that, it just costs gold to do. No other resource or anything like that. I can just extract the aspect for that price. I can accept. And when I go to my aspects menu, I've now got that aspect save in there, and I'm able to put that onto another piece. And we can do that with all of our legendary gear. You'll notice one is grayed out there. I'll explain that in a moment. But with these pieces here, again, I can just put them in there. The legendary item will be destroyed when you do this, but I'm going to get that aspect from it. Again, extract, accept. I just keep on doing that with every legendary item that I no longer need, just so I can have a list of aspects in my inventory to throw onto other pieces when needed. And with all of those dismantled, I've now got a list of aspects in here ready to go for some new pieces. So now we will put one of these aspects onto one of my pieces, but I highly recommend if there's anything you really like. So for example, this blade dancers aspect is something that works very well with my build, but the reason I haven't got it on right now is because once I put it onto something, you can no longer extract it. So when I mentioned before my equipment, I had this legendary item here that I couldn't extract the aspect from. It's because I've imprinted that aspect on to that piece. You can see there it says imprinted. So because that's already been imprinted, you can't take it back off. That's stuck on that now. Nothing I can do with that. So all I can do is sell or dismantle it. So if I was to go and throw that blade dancer onto a piece that I've got now, and I'm going to get some much higher level gear later, I'm going to lose that. So the only way I can then get that back is by finding it again and extracting it again, or doing a dungeon that has it on to have it as in my codex, but that costs a lot more materials I haven't got right now. So I'm just saving that for the right time. But when you've got something that you really want to use and you're happy to use it, this is how you do it. So we're gonna put something on the dagger, say, but what you've got to look at on the aspect is what it can go on. This is something else that I didn't mention yet. But for example, again, the blade dancers aspect, it can only go on a one-handed weapon, a two-handed weapon, gloves, or an amulet. We've got this here that can only go on boots or an amulet. We've got this that can go on a helm, chest armor, pants, or an amulet. We got this that can go on a one-handed weapon, two-handed weapon, gloves, or an amulet. Or we got that which is helm, chest armor, pants, or an amulet. So I've actually got nothing to go on that legendary crossbow, so I can't put an aspect on that. But I do have an amulet which we're going to use here, the Gorget. So this will also upgrade it. We're going to place this into the tab across the way. So we want to go back to imprint aspect. I'll put the amulet in that, and rather than going to the codex this time, you can see that all of these are able to go on there. So I'm just going to use something that I don't really care for. We'll go for this Ghostwalker mobility one. I'll place that in the inventory slot there. And then the preview there, you can see that it's going to be changed to legendary. I'll get a random roll as well for it being legendary. And it only costs me gold and some of this material here, the veiled crystals, which I have plenty of. So it's much cheaper and easier to upgrade from your inventory than it is from the codex. So I'm going to imprint that now, accept. And I've got a brand new piece there, which I can throw back on my build. It's already on there, which is now a legendary item. And it's got an imprinted aspect on it. And that's that. But again, in the future, if I get a better amulet here, I'm not going to be able to remove the imprinted aspect. If we go back to the extract aspect tab, you'll see that if I put this in there, it just won't let me. It says you cannot extract from items with imprinted aspects. So that's stuck on that now that I've done that. And unfortunately, when I get a better one, it's just going to be either sold or dismantled. But I will get a chance to get that more rarer resource to be able to use codexes from it. And that's everything that I've got for aspects and gems on Diablo 4. As you're going through your main playthrough, you're going through the story and all the side stuff and 100% in the game, say, it's probably not as important. Have a play around with them, get used to them, see which ones you like, see which ones work for you and your build. As you get into endgame though, and the more difficult content, aspects and gems are going to become crucial. You're going to want to know exactly which aspects you want on every single piece and gems to improve your build to be able to take on the tougher end game content. They'll be absolutely crucial. I think I've covered everything that I've learned about aspects and gems. If there's anything you know that I've missed or any advice you want to give, put it down in the comments for others to have a read. I'd appreciate it. I'd also for myself to have a read as I'm learning the game. But yeah, I hope it covered everything for you. Be sure to hit like and share on the video to support, subscribe for more content. And now we are done. As I mentioned at the start of the video, come and check out the community. We need more experienced Diablo players in there, or if you're less experienced, you need help, come in there, ask questions, come and join our clan. It's a great place to LFG also. Come and check it out. Until next time, thank you for watching, stay safe and peace out.